Welcome back. All right, so I'll use any excuse to wear Arizona gear, and here we are again. But we're going to start off at the top of the board talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs. Max Domi gets fined $5,000 for elbowing Garnet Hathaway. Hathaway was a bit of a target for the Leafs. He did clip Hildeby last night, and so McCabe challenges him to a fight and squares up against him. Hathaway is a fighter, and McCabe not as much. And McCabe either got injured during the fight or at the end of the fight when he went down. Either way, he's being evaluated today. He definitely looked like he was concussed in that moment, and Morgan Riley made sure that he didn't hit his head on the ice while he looked as dazed as he did. So we'll see how long McCabe's going to be out for. It's one of those things that can happen, and we'll see what this adds to their next meeting, which is tomorrow. So there was a lot of emotion in that game. It was kind of a chippy game, too, as it went along, and that definitely was part of it. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts. And I know people don't like the fine amounts, but it's in the CBA. There's not really much they can do about it. It's part of the meme is that the maximum allowable under the CBA. And that money then goes into a player's fund. So the money from those fines goes into a player's fund. So for anybody thinking the league collects that money, it doesn't. Does not go to the NHL. Your three stars of the week this week in the National Hockey League, all from the West. Starting with Minnesota's Marco Rossi, who played 3 games, had 3 goals and 5 assists, 8 points. Had an amazing game the other night as well, where he had assists on all 4 goals. Troy Terry of the Anaheim Ducks is your second star. 4 goals in 4 games this week. He also had 2 assists, so he had 6 points. Terry and the Ducks, I will say this again, I think the Ducks are being overlooked by a lot of people. And Darcy Kemper, your third star from the Kings. 2 wins, a .985 save percentage, and a shutout for the LA Kings. Kemper's been up and down this season, but right now he's playing some of the best hockey he has in a long time. So we'll see how long that can go for. But there's your 3 stars, and again, all from the West, so good for them. Speaking of teams in the West, the Vancouver Canucks, Quinn Hughes is a game time decision tonight. So he's close. He's much closer, and he's coming back quicker, it looks like, than we had expected. Hopefully he's 100% and not trying to come back and play when he's not quite 100%. Pettersson and Demko remain out. Pettersson was asked about the comments by Patrick Alvin about how star players need to be better. He does not disagree. He says he needs to be better as well. Saying all the right things. Hopefully he gets to play during this road trip and we see some good games from him. Because this road trip for the Canucks that starts tonight in Montreal, it looks brutal. It just does. I think it's Washington, Carolina, and Toronto. They play after Montreal tonight. And while Montreal would have looked like, I mean, not an automatic 2 points, but the easiest of the 4 a month ago, right now they don't look like the easiest of the 4. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting time. And they're not going to have Joshua either. He has a leg injury. He's seen as week to week, so at least 2 weeks for Joshua. And Lekaramäki's been recalled from Abbotsford. He had some struggles with the Canucks the last call-up, so we'll see how things go for him this time around. But Vancouver, it feels like is on the board every day, and it's injury news every day, or all the other gossip stuff that's going on as well. And so, yeah, we'll see how things go without Joshua in the lineup. Although Joshua has not been as effective this year as he was last year. Hopefully when he comes back into the lineup, that changes. Jeremy Lauzon of the Nashville Predators dealing with a lower body injury. He's been placed on injured reserve. They've recalled Kevin Gravel. Gravel's a number 7 defenseman, a bottom pairing defenseman, who obviously cleared waivers before the season started and all of that fun stuff. And he can get called up. He has NHL experience, so for Nashville, that's hopefully not going to negatively impact a team that looks like they're starting to get things together. When I was doing up the preview, looking at Marchessault's numbers and saying, hey, Marchessault's been really productive for them lately, so maybe things are starting to get better, but is it just too late? Odds are probably yes, but I know, St. Louis 2019, yada, yada, yada. Ryan Leonard was named the MVP coming out of the World Juniors last night. It was a pretty good game. I watched the overtime. I did. I was flipping back and forth between the Tampa Bay Anaheim game and the overtime for the Team USA Finland gold medal game. And I did feel like the U.S. was just destined to win that. They had the best team. They win back-to-back golds. I think that's the first time that's happened. And so Finland gets the silver, and Czechia gets the bronze as they beat the Swedes. which I hope takes some of the sting out of the fact that the Czechs beat the Canadians twice, but I don't know that it will or it won't. But I think it's good for the game that there are multiple countries that can win this, and congratulations to the Americans for doing so. Some very, very good players on that American team. Does Canada need to pick better rosters? Sure. Do we need to work on developing goaltenders a little better than things have been over the last 20 years? Sure. But that being said, I'm not going to take anything away from the U.S. I did see some complaints about booing directed towards the U.S., but there's been an American-Canadian rivalry for a very long time in hockey. And I'm not going to boo an American team if I'm at a game live just because it's an American team, but I do appreciate the rivalry, and it's kind of fun. And I look forward to that at Four Nations and at the Olympics as well. I think if we get a gold medal matchup between the two countries at the Olympics again, I think that would be fantastic. And we'll find out in about a year's time. So, Arizona, why am I wearing a Coyotes jersey? Well, let's discuss. There's been a committee of political and business leaders formed. So we had the election, of course, in the U.S. in November. There's been a change, and Maricopa County wants to bring the NHL back. And they've already had talks with Gary Bettman. And so this committee's been formed. Now, what's interesting with this is that it's a committee of political and business leaders. And it is political people that did not want to deal with Morello and the Coyotes. And there were business people as well who didn't necessarily have a great relationship with the former Coyotes. So this bodes well for Arizona, I think, if this committee does what they're intending to do. I think this definitely bodes well for Arizona. And I do feel like at this point in time, it's early to be talking about anything of this nature, but a committee being formed just means they come up with some sort of plan, a framework, as it were, and find a way to make the ownership work and all that fun stuff. I think if Arizona makes it like where it's a community owned, it's more of a grassroots, almost like I almost feel like I'm talking about the Green Bay Packers in this kind of scenario, which obviously is a completely different scenario, but something where it's not just a billionaire with money and saying, hey, we're going to put this building here. What do you think? And then the voters say, no, we'd rather not. So if you can find a way where A, you don't need that public vote, B, you don't need some kind of bizarre land auction, and you could just come up with a plan that seems to make a lot of sense, who knows? We may see the Coyotes return, which I've already seen people saying, no, 32 teams is perfect, but that's where THG jumps up and goes, remember, Utah's an expansion franchise, and Arizona's considered to be inactive. So technically, we already have 33 franchises in the National Hockey League. Just one is inactive, and I'm using air quotes because, they're gone. The players, the coaches, the staff, everybody who wanted to went to Utah. Of course, there were some that didn't go. They stayed in Arizona, but not that they're employed by the Coyotes or anybody's employed by the Coyotes right now. So we'll see what happens there. I guess I'd be okay with being part of an ownership group for the Coyotes. Sure, why not? I can talk to the wife. I'm sure she'll be perfectly fine with moving to Arizona. That'll work really well. I'm obviously kidding. Alex Chiasson has announced his retirement. He retires 651 NHL games played, 120 goals, 113 assists, 233 points. I have nothing but respect for role players in the NHL, and Chiasson was a role player who bounced around. Started out in Dallas, went to Ottawa, Calgary, Washington, Edmonton, Vancouver, Detroit. Absolutely gets a career video. As I've mentioned recently, I intend to put some career videos together that we'll post to the channel while I am on vacation. A vacation of sorts in that I will be in California, but I will still be reporting on the Four Nations stuff as well while I'm down there. And, of course, any trades that take place, because it does feel like trades and big stories happen when I go to Las Vegas or I go to California. That has happened more than once. So we'll see if any big stories happen while we're down there this time. The New York Rangers put in a claim on Kaliyev, and so they get Kaliyev from the Kings. Be very interesting to see how this turns out. Kaliyev is a player who has goal-scoring ability. We know he has that. He has not been able to put that together consistently at the NHL level. And he goes to a Rangers team where there's been some upheaval. There's been some discontent. There's been a few struggles for the Rangers lately. I don't know if a few people have heard about it or not. It really, nobody's been talking about it too much. But yeah, the Rangers have had their struggles. We'll see how Kaliyev fits into things and what the plan is for Chris Drury from here. So let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below and anything that I discussed on this board. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.